And Michael Doran is a senior fellow at the Hudson Institute in Washington, D.C. He specializes in Middle East security issues. He served in the White House as a senior director in the National Security Council during George W. Bush's administration. He joins me now here in the studio. Thank you so much for being here with us in Istanbul, Michael. Firstly, can I ask you about the situation in Ukraine? Ukrainian officials say this is perhaps the worst fighting they've seen from the Russians since the conflict began in late February. What do you think is Moscow's strategy here? Is it about taking the east at this point?
I think so. Definitely Putin wants the land bridge to Crimea, but I think he also wants to set himself up to dominate the Ukrainian economy, to turn it into a failed state. And I think it has to be our goal to make sure that that doesn't happen.
We know that the former US Secretary of State, Henry Kissinger, has made some controversial comments with regards to this conflict. He says that in order to secure some sort of a lasting peace between Ukraine and Russia, Ukraine should perhaps consider giving up even more territory to the Russians in order to end this conflict. What's your view on that? Obviously, the Ukrainians have said that that's extremely unhelpful, that kowtowing to the Russians is not the solution. What's your view?
I think definitely saying that out loud is a mistake, particularly at this time, because Putin does want to set himself up to dominate the Ukrainian economy, to basically impose a siege on Odessa, if not directly by land, then by sea. The message that the Americans and the Europeans need to be sending is that Ukraine has to be a viable, independent state, and we shouldn't be talking about concessions to Putin right now.
And of course, NATO has been instrumental, or perhaps potential NATO expansion has been instrumental as a result of this conflict. Now, the Turkish Foreign Minister Mevlut Çavuşoğlu has spoken to journalists during his journey back from Israel and Palestine. Çavuşoğlu spoke about Sweden and Finland's NATO membership bids. He says the Turkish side has presented a document to the Swedish and Finnish delegations that visited Ankara this week. It contained our concerns and expectations, such as the support for terrorism, the existence of different terrorist organizations supplying weapons and sanctions. He's added that if the other side shows a will to talk, Turkey will continue to work within the framework of the same mechanism. And Michael, I'm interested to get your thoughts on this because, as we know historically, I guess a NATO member having concerns about new membership isn't unprecedented. We had Greece effectively hold up North Macedonian's membership into NATO for a good decade over the issue of the naming of North Macedonia. What do you make of Turkey's concerns here, given the fact that the president here says he wants to ensure that Finland and Sweden don't harbour terrorists that threaten Turkey's national security? Are they valid concerns to have?
I think they're absolutely valid concerns, but I think that he's actually playing in two fields at the same time with this. Finland and Sweden, he doesn't want them to come in and be a pro-PKK lobby inside NATO, but he's also, I think, directing these comments at the Americans. There's a Turkish saying that that I chastise my daughter loudly so that my daughter-in-law will get the message. And in this case, the daughter-in-law is the United States. And it's the United States whose policy in Syria is supporting the PKK. That's the thing that the Turks care the most about. They're not in a position, though, to poke their finger in the chest of the United States, so they're doing it indirectly through Finland and Sweden. But the real address here is Washington.
Okay, so what do you see as being the potential compromise that could allay Ankara's fears, but also get Finland and Sweden into NATO?
Well, I think they want commitments from Finland and Sweden, of course, but then they also want a process with the United States to decouple the United States from the PKK in Syria. That's the strategic goal here.
Okay, Michael Doran, we'll have to leave it there, but it was really good to get your analysis. Thanks again for joining us.
Thank you.